Are we ready to go? He stands up and gets something, does something.
I realized how bad my backdrop looked. Just an undone bed, just a fucking. There you go. We're good.
I mean, at least it's not a mattress on the floor.
The box spring is broken for reasons I will not go into. It just keeps breaking.
Your best Jeff Hardy impression and Swanton onto the mat.
Just going. Remember when Jeff Hardy was like Matt Hardy was getting his shit pumped in the ring, and he comes down the fucking ring, just go with the intro. He didn't give a single fuck about his brother. He just wanted to stunt the entire time. Oh my god.
It was an AEW like within the past year. Yeah, Matt Hardy just getting brutalized in the ring, and here comes Jeff just dancing slowly down the ramp.
I mean, when you hear that song, you get pumped, right? So it makes sense.
It's true.
He's getting the fucking shit beat out of him, like curb stomped and everything, and then he just thinks like, you know what, my brother's in trouble, but you know I gotta stunt on these hoes first, getting these people the attention they deserve.
God,
it was like one on both sides and sprints in the fucking ring.
Welcome everybody to another edition of the Tougie Steak Podcast. Can you tell we have nothing to talk about? It's been a slow couple of days in the world of hockey, but we're back again to talk about all two things that happens. I am here, obviously, with Mr. Endo Mills.
Hi.
Endo, how are you?
I'm good. I saw someone on Twitter make a video claiming to be Morgan Freeman blasting Joe Biden on some sort of thing. And it was a white guy using Morgan Freeman's face as like a face app kind of thing. And I'm like, is this considered blackface or what?
Virtual blackface via deepfakes?
We've made it. Aside from that, I'm good. How are you guys?
Sen is also here, Mr. For the win. No internet issues so far. I jinxed it. Let's see what happens.
No, I think it was honestly just because we had another minor storm, and California's been in a drought for so long that we can't handle them. But yeah, no, everything's been good since that day. I changed, not my provider, but I changed the package that I had and stuff. I actually have faster internet now for less money. Because you know how like internet companies are always changing packages and they never tell you, and all of a sudden like you could be like, oh, I can get more internet for cheaper. Shit.
Sin, I'm well aware. You know, I was charged for 2 internet lines for the whole entire fucking year.
I remember
my bill was
$2,000.
How
do you fucking not notice that?
Because it should have been done entirely. So what happened was when the router was returned, it should have done it like by the switch automatically. You wouldn't have to worry about it. And then suddenly it was like, hey, you aren't paying for this third line. We're going to shut down your entire internet. I'm like, okay, what the fuck? And then they finally credited me in my entire internet. And they were like, hey, come back. We'll give you a better package. And I'm like, I don't know how you can give me a better package. I have unlimited internet. I have gigabit when like no one else in my area has gigabit. So
now my question is, how did you not notice bank account wise? Because my bank account is like a father and a thermostat. If it changes by even just one,
I don't think he had auto pay on. Because he said he had a debt.
You know what happened? The card that was on the account was expired. And they didn't tell me. I didn't get any notification, no phone call, no email, no nothing. And then just randomly one day, hey, your internet's out. I'm like, okay. Like right in the middle of a broadcast with right before a broadcast with a sports gamer. So it was like perfect timing.
Fun.
Yeah.
Saint, when we lost you on the last show, I had to kind of edit around it because none of your audio saved, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. That's when I got that notification, that's what usually happens.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, we have a shortage of things to talk about. So I wanted to bring you back to a question from last week when your internet cut out. And you missed a lot, by the way. Endo and I got to talk about McDonald's mascots for a while. That was fun. Shout out to fucking Grimace O'Shaughnessy or whatever the fuck the Irish version of Grimace was called.
Shaughnessy. You could have just went to Houlihan or whatever.
Yeah. We were talking about street hockey or floor hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And given we have nothing else to talk about, aside from, well, a couple other things we could probably touch up on just to get your thoughts on it. Your answer to that lovely question of street hockey or floor hockey.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, it would have been street hockey. But after experiencing floorball in Finland, or at Sälly, as they call it there, it's floorball, 100%. Like, amazing. It's just like, it's, enclosed, more kind of competitive. It's less casual. Like, it's right up my alley. Much different, and it takes a bit getting used to. And your legs hate you when you go so long without playing, and then you play it, and because you don't use those muscles constantly. Like, I do cardio every time I'm in the gym, but apparently it's not the same muscle group using the elliptical as fucking running around. So
Yeah.
But for me, and I know this is different for many people, street hockey for me, we always use rollerblades, and I guess a lot of people didn't do that, but we were always on rollerblades and had, like, hockey team jerseys on. We had, my buddy's dad played ice hockey, and so whenever he'd get like new goalie pads, because he was a goalie, he would give us the old ones. So we had fucking legit like goalie pads to use out there on the street. It was so amazing.
Now here's the question though: was the goalie wearing rollerblades too or no?
Sometimes they did, other times they didn't.
Yeah, because the one thing is, like for hockey, you obviously always have different set of skates. For roller,
They
it's
have
the same thing.
have them in yeah.
Like
I know.
smaller.
I played roller in high school.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's
I
flat.
remember a few years ago as a rental, there was a skate that we had to do outdoors, and it was roller. I didn't have any roller wheels, or like just wear your shoes, whatever. And they were playing with the ball on actual ice, because the ortho rinks over here, when they're done, they're like paved over anyway. So when it's spring season, you just play out there instead, and it was a lot of fun. There's the one thing I do want to try are the actual roller tile stuff, like the outdoor like court tile. I haven't had a chance to do that yet in the city because there's like no locations that do.
It's in as well from the last show. We talked about briefly the news that ESPN Films is going to do a 30 for 30 on the 2011 Vancouver riots. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Just the riots?
I'm sure they're going to talk about the game, but yeah, the riots are the big focus. Do you have a particular thought?
Yeah, I hope they show the picture of that chick getting finger blasted in the street. That's an iconic picture.
Oh my god. I told Tougie last week that couple's not together anymore. You know that?
I mean, it's like 12 years later.
Yeah, I know, but like
love is dead.
You can't get finger
we
blasted.
We went through a panini. We're still in a panini. A lot of things happened.
Fair enough.
People died.
They drifted apart. Where did all the workers go? Oh, I don't know.
6 feet under. Sorry.
USA.
And they retired.
You're dead. Retire.
So with that, we'll get to some viewer questions for this week. Got to be honest, you guys let us down a little bit, but that's okay. Also, want to mention, as always, this podcast, and can you believe I forgot to mention it last time? This podcast is brought to you by our lovely friends at manscaped.com. You can go to manscaped.com and use the code Tougie, that's Tougie, for 20% off your order and free shipping. Manscaped.com, the best tools for the job. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself right. Heading into the summer. It's almost there. I say that. It's the end of March. It snowed here yesterday. I hate it.
Yeah, it's still snowing in Finland too. But it is getting lighter.
Yeah, but I could go to the hospital and not be in debt for the rest of my life there, so it's better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Jesus.
You can put up with
you won't be in debt, period.
You can put up with the cold when, it's a properly run country.
Yeah, definitely.
God damn it. The amount of consideration in the past week and a half from me to be like, I want to move there.
I'm going. I'm just simply going. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, you already have like a
God.
second life over there, essentially.
Yeah.
Sports gamer. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm learning about the Finnish politics, which is pretty amazing. Did you guys know they have 6 political parties?
Yes,
How
imagine.
great is that?
Yeah.
Actual choices.
Did you
And
know that they've had
cooperation.
multiple? You know that saying the audacity, they've had multiple women leading government.
Actually, 5 out of the
Women.
6 major parties are led by women. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Whammon.
Guess which one isn't run by a woman? The very, very far right one called True Finns.
I was gonna say a bad joke.
The Texans of
Here's the
Finland.
thing, though. That far right party is still very green. They believe in climate change, and although they kind of drift a little towards eco-fascism, where they're like, "Hey, no
it's a
one can
horseshoe.
come here because environments."
It's a horseshoe, that's why.
Horseshoe is a fallacy. Horseshoe is a fallacy.
I'm gonna shove my horseshoe up your fucking ass. Manscaped, by the way. Get your. And before I go in there, you want to clean yourself with some Manscaped. Use that ball deodorant because I don't want to, experience any It just fell in the trash. Manscaped promo code Tougie.
With that, we'll get to some viewer questions here. Starting off, RG Dust. Who is going to win the Pacific Division? Not
Seattle.
the San Jose Sharks.
I don't know. You never know. They're gonna win out the fucking season and screw themselves.
Yeah, so the last show for the Sharks, we got to talk about the fact that they had been struggle busing, and now, of course, by the time we get to this show, they're kind of screwing around a little bit. The Vegas Golden Knights are number 1 in the Pacific right now. They are playoff bound. Also, shout out to Jack Eichel, who had the 5th most career games played among active players who have yet to appear in the playoffs. The other 4, tell me if you notice a theme. Jeff Skinner, Rasmus Ristolainen, Zemgus Girgensons, and Jake McCabe. Do you notice the theme, gentlemen?
They're trash. They're all trash. It's nothing to do with Buffalo. They're all trash.
Buffalo Slug Blues. Trash.
Oh, God. Behind them, 2 points back, Vegas do have a game in hand. The Edmonton Oilers on 97 points. Worth noting for the Oilers, Connor McDavid scored his 300th career goal, shorthanded, of course. And also, shout out to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He now has 96 points on the season. A huge amount of them are on the power play. But he is 4 points away, obviously, with 7 games left, from getting one of the quietest 100-point seasons ever.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was doing that good. Like, I figured, point per game. Nope, way above.
And the Oilers could become the first team with 3 100-point getters since 1996.
Jesus.
The Pittsburgh Penguins, I'd ask you, but I did write it down. Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, and Ron Francis all had at least 100 points. So,
yeah, I knew. Yeah, I probably would have been able to guess that, honestly, because I had a starting lineup Ron Francis action figure.
There you go. And then in third in the division on 96 points, the LA Kings. Don't have a really fun fact about them at the moment, but unfortunately, Seattle's fallen a little bit too far back. They're really kind of in that wild card spot. But yeah, it's down to Vegas, Edmonton, and LA. I have to be honest, it'd be fucking hilarious for the LA Kings to win that division.
It would be funny. I got to hand it to Edmonton, though.
Yeah.
And honestly, people have been talking all the time about how the Pacific has been weaker and stuff like that. They're doing better than the Central, at least the top teams.
Yes, correct.
The top 3 besides
the top
LA,
3 in the Central, Minnesota, Dallas, Colorado, 97, 94, and 94 points.
Yeah, and Vegas 99, Edmonton 97, LA 96.
Okay.
And then we have the top wild card in the Pacific too. So everyone keeps saying the Pacific is so much weaker, but it's clearly not.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that brief moment where it did have that switch. I think a big part of it's California. Because for years, Endo knows this as a Leafs fan. I know it as a Bruins fan. Man, those California fucking road trips.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. Like that. It was a death march.
Yeah.
Having the Sharks, the Kings, the Ducks
That was the
consecutively.
gauntlet.
You were just like, well, if we can get one win, that'll be pretty good. And that's what it was for almost a decade.
Yeah, straight up. Like from like probably 05 to 2015. Like that was the gauntlet.
That's what it is now. I mean, remember, the Leafs had their last trip and it got so bad they wanted to fire Keefe.
That's true.
Reminder, yeah.
About that.
Yeah, they got like 3 points and a possible 6, and then they wanted to fire Sheldon Keefe. I did it for the meme, but just in general, they just wanted to get rid of him like immediately after that.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm rooting for LA. I kind of agree with Sin. Like Edmonton would have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
even
here's
though
the fun.
Vegas has a game in hand with 2-point lead though, so like they're still the favorites. But I would love to see Edmonton just because I want to see Connor McDavid hit 150. I want to see Nuge hit 100. Like I want them to go off in these last games.
Yeah, Vegas 7-2-1 in their last 10. Edmonton is 8-1-1 with 3 wins in a row, and then LA is 6-2-2. They've lost 2 games in a row, but still like tremendous form pretty much across the board. To mention it though, I mean the Sharks update. You know, we kind of mentioned that a minute ago. In
Winning
terms
streak.
of points percentage, the Sharks are now the 4th worst team in the league. 2-5-3 in their last 10 with 2 straight wins. They are 1 point above the Ducks, 3 points above Columbus, who have a game at hand, and 3 points clear of Chicago, who are currently dead last.
That's just these 2 wins were probably the worst possible thing to have happen. Especially considering who we beat. Winnipeg, who shit the bed. We shut them out.
Though. Like that's Winnipeg, been a huge thing out of nowhere that we haven't really gotten a chance to talk about. The Winnipeg Jets, 5-5 in their last 10, 2 losses in a row. Out of nowhere, it's like, ooh, Winnipeg, what are you doing? Because they are in that second wild card spot. Calgary, same amount of games played, only 2 points back. Nashville's 3 points back with a game at hand. The Jets might have fumbled the bag. So I'm intrigued to see what happens.
So are the Sharks. Then we beat Vegas. Like, part of me is like, awesome. But then it's like, God damn it. So first off, we get to overtime. I'm like, oh, here we go again, get a loser point. But then they get the extra point. So like my Sharks heart was so fucking torn. I'm like, fuck Vegas, but also but on the bright side, Thomas Bordelow's 2-0 against Vegas in his career.
And Henry Thrun, man, 2 points in his debut.
Dude, I'm excited about him. Worth a third. Like, worth a third. He's looking like a really good two-way D-man, man. Like, he's still
obviously NHL-wise, limited sample size. But again, we talked about his Harvard numbers when this trade happened and if they'd be able to sign him. He had 32 points in 35 games last year. And this year, captain at Harvard, 31 points in 33 games, again, as a defenseman. That's promising. It's very, very promising.
Didn't want to sign with Anaheim. We got him. We got him signed immediately. I think it's just 2 years, and I think the first one counts for this year, so it's really just a 1 year deal, and that's a little scary. But, hey, man, how do you think, was he at 22, I believe?
Yes. He's 22 years old, and yes, he has this year and next. Will be an RFA at the end of the deal, where he'll only be 24 years old, 24, 25. And that's promising. And that type of deal is structured for him to just be able to be like, okay, play me. And if he proves himself, then once that deal's up, like, you're going to get a decent little contract there. So
I'm excited.
All the Sharks are missing is a number 1 or number 2 overall pick in this year's draft.
Dude, I know. And like, we probably just screwed ourselves out of it. Unless we get a little bit of luck. I like I said, I would like, if we don't get Bedard, fine, but Fantilli would be amazing. But we just fumbling the bag a little bit. We need some other teams to win some games now, which sucks. It's like, if you're at the end of the season trying to make a playoff push, you're counting on other teams to like have certain performances. Yeah, that's never a good place to find yourself in. So I don't know. At this point, we're gonna need a little bit of lottery luck.
A little bit.
Like,
It's going to be
being the last place team is fine because you can't go past 3. You're a top 3 guaranteed. That's what I wanted. Like, pipe dream Bedard, but top 3 guaranteed. And now that's far, far from a guarantee.
It's true. And I mean, obviously, like this is the draft. I mean,
yeah,
you know, top 3 bare minimum would typically be great because Bedard, Fantilli, Michkov. We don't really know what's going to happen with Michkov, so that could be the one saving grace for a Sharks fan, for example, is if you guys ended up 5th or 6th, there's a chance he'll still be there because there's a big unknown about him. It is a very good draft though in that top 10. It's
like I am glad that it's still very solid in the top 10, but I want one of those franchise players.
Right. We understandable.
Yeah.
Worth noting too, only because we mentioned the Western Conference, I'll bring it up now. It's reported that Jonathan Toews is going to play on Saturday for the first time in a long time is the best way to describe it. Just a couple of days ago, there was the word of like, oh, has he played his last game? And well, now for the first time since January 28th, he will be back in the lineup. So cool for him.
Good. Get some wins for the Hawks.
Go right. Make the team better, please. John. Go right ahead.
Please.
You might make it worse, actually. Who's to say?
No, make it better.
Some ways. Got to take that shot. You know, it is what it is. From our next question, from respectfully, Suck My Udder. Who can prevent forest fires? And I have an answer to this. White people with their gender reveal parties. They can prevent forest fires.
Also, a rake.
That's true. Take care of your fucking leaves.
Rake the leaves like Finland does or something. Whatever the hell you said. Dude, that is one of the biggest jokes in Finland. Like the amount of people I've talked to, they're like, yeah, we love our forests so much, you know. I get out there with my rake all the time.
Oh, it's someone who now with the joys of home ownership in the last 2 years is someone who loves a good 2 afternoons spent raking up leaves around the house. Fun. It's so fun.
Why do you rake them?
Because well, let's see if people judge my future father and mother-in-law. Bag the leaves, put them around the house for extra insulation, like around where the basement would be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I usually just leave them because they're biodegradable.
Smart.
And
leave them.
And I'm lazy.
Fuck off, Tougie.
Love you.
I was like, as long as you're not just the thing that bugs me is when people rake their leaves, put them in plastic bags and like throw them out. That's the most.
Yeah. USA.
It's like the leaves are good. They're nutrient rich. They degrade into the ground. They act as fertilizer and natural other things. And Anyway,
the environment, everybody.
Don't mind
the environment. Don't be stupid when it comes to the environment. From Starkilled, who do you think is winning the cup this year? I got a question for you. Why not wait 3 weeks until we know who's in the playoffs for sure?
I know who's winning the cup this year.
The President's Trophy winning Boston Bruins, baby!
Bruins! Oh!
It's the most obnoxious fucking video.
What was that, Endo?
Fuck off.
Oh my God.
That is the best video.
It is. God damn it. From Scorpion Hoopers, question for the podcast. NHL 18 Hartford Whalers franchise was the first of Tougie series that I watched. Which of his franchises hold a special place for you? Well, Scorpion, I'm going to tell you something.
Go fuck yourself. None of them. My franchises hold a special place for me.
It is difficult when you make content that's that niche to then also still watch and support other people's series. It's very difficult. And, Sin and I have been friends for 6 years now.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never watched one of your NHL series all the way through.
Like,
but I've watched your NBA series all the way through. I watched the fuck out of Torf, obviously. It's just it can't be NHL. I cannot watch NHL content while I play it and also make content for it and also watch hockey. It just cannot happen. But I'll tell you my franchise mode that I've made that's special to my heart. It is my NHL 17 Montreal Canadiens one. Because that was like my transition to being primarily a franchise mode streamer. Up until that point, Be a Pro was crushing it for me. And that was the one. We won 5 cups in 10 years, 1 in year 3, and then we did a quick rebuild, traded Price, Pacioretty, and Weber. Everyone told me how unrealistic all those trades were. Lol. Especially the Pacioretty one, which made me lol so much because legit, the year I traded him was the year he got traded in real life. Anyway, but yeah, and then we had a back-to-back cup win, took a year off, kind of retooled, then I had another back-to-back cup win to end it. It was the most legendary. It was like 76 parts because back then I would do one video for each playoff round because I would do the tech sim, but I've
gotten away from that too.
Yeah, tech sim is just so brutal. It's so different from calendar sim. You can't build your team one way and then expect them to do anyway. But yeah, it was, dude. Yeah, that was a great series.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just like, God, we've both been doing this for so long. Rebuilding Hockeytown with Detroit always comes back to mind, just because that was like 70, 80 episodes of just how many fucking cups can we win. It was kind of the last time I enjoyed just winning as opposed to the rebuild. The other big one is, I mean, the first 2 Draft of Glories, like the first one for sure was one that really helped the channel take off a little bit. Shout out to X Tech again. He will never take credit, but he helped get the word out about what I was doing, and that helped a lot. And then Draft of Glory Goon Squad, the first one, where again, Frederick McDonough, 92 overall out of the draft.
Oh, yeah.
Second overall, man.
Wasn't he 20? He was 20 years old too, right?
Yes, that was the year that overagers were fucking OP, and the Sharks took somebody else first and gave him to me. It was an all-timer. So, yeah, a lot of good memories for sure.
Oh man, I think I had a Philadelphia Flyers franchise mode, and I picked up a franchise, so I didn't have fully scouted. It was like it showed like top 9 maybe, but this was in the old draft system, so I can't remember exactly how it was, but I don't know, everything pointed at me. I drafted him, he was like 85 overall, medium franchise. Or yellow franchise as it was back then, I think.
The glory days.
Oh man.
Yeah, like Sin said, I can't, like, we're gonna go back to it, but I can't watch NHL content. I just can't. I respect all the people who make stuff, like you guys, and I guess myself currently, but just, I don't know, maybe because it's just boring now, because it's the same thing over and over again. There's no, like, disparity between content creators. For example, if I watch one guy open up packs, it's the same thing as watching another guy open up packs. All RNG kind of thing.
It's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say too, like, I used to be like diehard, and we talked about this, Endo, right, on the last show, like in terms of like the Steve Dangle podcast, day one for me for years. Day an episode comes out, I'm going to walk the dog, I'm going to listen to the podcast. It's very difficult to listen to other hockey podcasts when we've already discussed basically the big topics in the hockey world ourselves. You know, I mean, it's nice to get other people's opinions on it, but it can just be very, very difficult to follow up like that. So, not a bad question, I'll say. But yeah, I feel like that's common. Like, it's, if you're a content creator, whatever the hell you want to call it, you have friends that you support, but in terms of like following along on a day-by-day basis, if it's the same thing that you're doing, it's tough. And nobody really blames one another for it. It's just kind of the way it is. Like, especially when it's a game like NHL and you have to be creative to make it more interesting. You know, it's easier too, right? Like, if it's like, it's for like, so for Sin, I know for you, right, where it's like, oh, NBA, MLB, those are games that you don't play as much. So it's like if I'm streaming them, it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then, you know, with MLB, you're just like, yeah, I'm probably going to check it out type of thing. So
Yeah, especially on the franchise side of things. Like when I play Madden, I never touch franchise mode. I just play like a career mode or whatever, which is, yeah.
Madden franchise, though, man, can be fun because of the draft. It's the same thing. It can be very fun.
Yeah, no, I should actually try it sometime, but it's also super fun to watch your stream of it. And then,
hell yeah,
especially when you go into the gameplay and just watch them play, because the way football translates, watching computers play actually works. Like it feels a little bit like real football, whereas watching NHL 22 computers play each other is pain. It's fucking pain.
Yes. I will say, as I just recorded a franchise video last night, my rosters do help make it more interesting, though.
Oh, that's good.
Because the AI don't just straight line into the neutrals or into the slot and try to force stuff anymore.
Really? That's good.
They actually try to deke. It's great. I can't give any spoilers because the video's not out yet, but interesting stuff. So with that, we have like 3 other things to touch up upon here. Obviously, in the NHL, signing wise, bunch of NCAA UDFAs are getting signed. Who the hell knows, right? Like that happens every year. Who the hell knows if anyone will actually be half decent? But a big signing that did happen: the New York Rangers keeping one Philip Heatle for the next 4 years at essentially $4.4 million, which good for the Rangers. That's a solid deal for a solid player who could probably end up getting paid. I mean, granted, he was an RFA, but if that's the type of player where if he were to hit the open market, I think he would get significantly more than that. So it's a pretty good deal for the Rangers. And obviously, they are playoff bound this year. It's now just kind of a matter of can they take that next step type of thing. But yeah, good for the Rangers with one Philip Heatle. The New Jersey Devils. This was an interesting stat for me here. Vitek Vanacek just became the second goaltender in Devils history to record a 30-win season. Martin Brodeur was, until this year, the only goalie to record 30 wins in a season with the New Jersey Devils. Not too bad, given that he was Vanacek, that is, he was one of 2 goalies where the AI, too much NHL talk. He was just one of 2 goalies where Washington just said, fuck it, you're gone. Like AI in NHL, he and Samsonov just thrown away, and now, well, Samsonov's probably the starter for the Leafs in the playoffs, and Vanacek's going to be the starter for the Devils in the playoffs. So, shout out to him. And then John Tortorella's power move. He elected to not be behind the bench against Ottawa. He decided to watch the game from the press box with new GM Danny Briere to, 1, get the perspective from watching up top, and to give Brad Shaw, an assistant coach, a chance to coach. So John Tortorella just being like, I don't want to coach tonight. And the Flyers like, fuck it, whatever. I feel like only John Tortorella could get away with that, basically. So,
probably.
Shout out to that. And well, hey, I'll leave it up to you two. I know what Endo just mentioned. I don't think we're going to talk about it, though.
I'm not. You guys can.
Let's just say, kids, don't idolize people you don't actually know all that well. Because you never know when a hero could actually be a gigantic piece of garbage. A not so great 8, if you will. There you go. Read between the lines on that. Gentlemen, do we have anything else, or is this going to be one of our shortest podcasts of the year? And anything at all. What do we got?
I'm pushing for Rookie of the Year in XBS. That's it.
There you go. That's the way. With that, we'll wind it down. We will thank you all for listening and watching. Of course, we will be back next week. Endo, what do you got going on?
I just got an email from EA about a questionnaire that's went out regarding World of Chell. So,
God.
I don't know if it's going to be timed or linked to the podcast itself too, but if you are a fan of World of Chell and NHL 23 and you want to somewhat give them information they're going to completely ignore at the end of the day, click the link attached to my Twitter profile or possibly on the link to this podcast because it has some pretty good questions about like just how you feel about World of Chell and all the direction and stuff like that. Yeah, if you feel interested in doing that, do that. As for stuff that I'm doing, nothing. I edit this guy's stuff, and then that's pretty much it. That stream maybe occasionally, I don't know, not really sure.
Fair enough. Sin for the W. What do you got going on?
Same thing as always. Still making content. Still doing stuff. Giggity giggity. Giggity goo.